Emma wiped away tears, her voice barely a whisper. I'm not good enough for any man. The words hung in the air between them. Jack's eyes never left her face. After a moment of silence that felt like eternity, he spoke with unexpected conviction. That is the biggest lie you've ever told yourself. Emma looked up, startled by his response. Do you know what I see when I look at you? Jack continued, his voice gentle but firm. I see someone who remembers my daughter is allergic to strawberries without being reminded. I see someone whose smile brightens even the darkest mornings. I see someone who listens, really listens, when others speak. He reached across the hospital bed and took her hand. The men who made you feel like you weren't enough? They're the ones who weren't enough. They weren't enough to recognize what was right in front of them. Emma's tears fell freely now. You don't know me, she whispered. I know enough, Jack replied. I know that talking to you is the best part of my day. I know that when I was lying here yesterday, feeling sorry for myself, you were the person I wanted to see. He squeezed her hand. I'm not asking for anything, Emma. I'm just asking you to stop believing the lies you've been told about yourself. Because from where I'm sitting, you're more than enough. You're extraordinary. Something shifted inside Emma, a tiny crack in the armor she'd built around her heart. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to consider the possibility that maybe, just maybe, she was worthy of love after all. 3 months had passed since that day in the hospital. Emma stood behind the coffee counter, watching the door with anticipation. Every morning at 7:45, Jack would arrive, order his black coffee, and spend 10 minutes talking with her before heading to work. Those 10 minutes had become the highlight of her day. Today was different, though. Today, she was going to say yes to the question he'd been asking for weeks, if she would join him and Lily for dinner. The bell above the door jingled, and there he was, his dark hair slightly tousled from the autumn wind, his smile warming her more than any coffee ever could. Morning, Emma, he said, approaching the counter. Your usual? She asked, already reaching for a cup. Please. As she prepared his coffee, Emma gathered her courage. So, about dinner, she began, not meeting his eyes. If the offer still stands, I'd like to come over tonight. The silence made her look up. Jack was staring at her with such joy that she felt her cheeks flush. The offer definitely still stands, he said. Lily will be thrilled. She's been asking about you nonstop. Emma handed him his coffee, their fingers brushing. I'm nervous, she admitted. I know, Jack said softly. But you don't have to be. It's just dinner with friends. But they both knew it was more than that. That evening, Emma stood outside Jack's modest 2-story home, a bottle of wine in one hand and a children's book for Lily in the other. Before she could knock, the door flew open, revealing an 8-year-old girl with Jack's kind eyes and a smile that could light up the darkest room. You came. Lily exclaimed, grabbing Emma's hand and pulling her inside. Dad's been cooking all day. He never cooks. He usually just orders pizza. Lily, Jack called from the kitchen, his voice tinged with embarrassment. I thought we agreed not to tell Emma all our secrets at once. Emma laughed, feeling the tension in her shoulders ease. I like pizza too, she said, following Lily into the kitchen where Jack stood wearing an apron that read World's Okayest Cook. I hope you like lasagna, he said. It's the only impressive dish in my repertoire. It smells amazing, Emma replied honestly. Dinner was a revelation. Lily chatted enthusiastically about school, her friends, and her dream of becoming a veterinarian. Jack watched his daughter with such love that it made Emma's heart ache with tenderness. And when they both looked at her, including her in their family jokes and stories, Emma felt something she hadn't experienced in years, belonging. After Lily went to bed, Jack and Emma sat on the porch swing, mugs of tea warming their hands against the cool night air. Thank you for tonight, Emma said softly. It was perfect. Jack turned to face her. Can I ask you something? Emma nodded, her heart quickening. What happened? To make you believe you weren't enough? The question should have made her retreat, raise her defenses. Instead, Emma found herself telling him everything, about the father who left when she was 12, about the college boyfriend who cheated because she was too boring, about the fiancé who called off the wedding because he couldn't see a future with someone so ordinary. Each time, she concluded, I tried to be what they wanted. I tried to be enough. But I never was. Jack was quiet for a long moment. Then he took her hand, his touch gentle but sure. Emma, look at me, he said, waiting until she met his gaze. You were never the problem. The problem was that you were trying to be enough for people who could never appreciate who you truly are. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. The right person doesn't want you to be enough. They want you to be you. All of you, the messy parts, the broken parts, the parts you try to hide. Because those are the parts that make you real. Emma felt tears threatening again. How did you get so wise, she asked, attempting to lighten the moment. Jack smiled sadly. Losing someone you love changes you. After Sarah died, I had to learn who I was without her. I had to learn to be enough for Lily. And I realized that being enough isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, being authentic, being willing to grow. He hesitated, then added, I'm not perfect, Emma. I burn pancakes. I forget permission slips. I work too much sometimes. But I'm trying, every day, to be the best version of myself. Not for anyone else, but for me. And for Lily. Emma looked at this man, this kind, honest, imperfect man, and felt something bloom in her chest. Something that felt dangerously like hope. I'd like to try that, she whispered. Being the best version of myself. For me. Jack's smile was like sunrise. I think that's a wonderful place to start. When he kissed her, gentle and questioning, Emma didn't pull away. For the first time in her life, she leaned in, embracing the possibility of love without fear. 6 months later, Emma stood in her new bookstore, running her fingers along the spines of freshly shelved books. After years of dreaming, she'd finally taken the leap, using her savings to open Turning Pages, a cozy bookshop with a coffee corner. The bell above the door jingled, and she looked up to see Jack and Lily entering, both carrying coffee cups. We brought celebration coffee, Jack announced, his eyes crinkling with the smile that still made Emma's heart skip. And I made this, Lily said, proudly presenting a handmade sign that read Emma's books, where stories find you. As Emma hung the sign in the window, she caught her reflection in the glass, a woman she barely recognized from a year ago. A woman who now knew her worth. Thank you, she said, turning to embrace them both, for helping me find myself again. Jack kissed her forehead gently. You were always there, he whispered. You just needed someone to hold up a mirror. That night, after the grand opening celebration, after Lily had fallen asleep on the couch surrounded by books, Jack took Emma's hand and led her to the small garden behind his house, now their house. Under a sky full of stars, he knelt before her. Emma Matthews, he said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes, a year ago, you told me you weren't good enough. Today, I'm asking if you'll spend the rest of your life letting me remind you how extraordinary you are. He opened a small box, revealing a simple but elegant ring. Will you marry me? Emma looked down at this man who had shown her what real love looked like, patient, kind, accepting. She thought about the journey they'd taken together, how he'd never tried to fix her but had simply created a safe space for her to fix herself. Yes, she said, her voice clear and certain. Yes, I will marry you. As Jack slipped the ring onto her finger, Emma realized that the voice in her head, the one that had always whispered she wasn't enough, had finally fallen silent. In its place was a new certainty, she was enough. She had always been enough. And now she had found someone who had known it all along. Outside, the first snow of winter began to fall, covering the world in possibilities as bright and endless as the future stretching before them. If you enjoyed this heartfelt journey of self-discovery and love, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us of the power of human connection and the beauty of finding someone who sees your true worth.